Go Pates! Hi, I'm Kyle Cease, and welcome to the I'm going to be with my family in the holidays survival guide for you to enjoy on this day. So, my friend Dan suggested to me that since I do all these talks and transformational things and do all this different inner work, that I should make something for people who are going to go visit their families on the holidays. And at first I was like, and I was like, yeah. At first I was like, and I was like, and then I was like, yeah. And here we are. I got excited about that idea, not only because it's an opportunity, hopefully, for me to create something that can help you in the holidays, but it's also to help me. I'm not only going to see my regular family, but I'm also going to see my fiance's family. So I'm getting ready to see all kinds of people. I know that there's a way that I'm supposed to be, or at least I think that I'm supposed to be. I know that there's so much in me that wants to do things the right way. I know there's part of me that doesn't even want to go. I know there's all kinds of little different feelings that I have, and I always go back to the revelation that the holidays are a huge opportunity for us to look at these people and look at how they affect us and how we can use that in a way to grow faster than anything. Because people trigger us all over the world. There's people you work with, there's clients, there's people, just politicians, and you feel these triggers and you feel so crazy. But no one can do it more than your family. Because in some cases, they've been there since you were born. So literally before you even had a memory, these people were here. And you started learning that life works in this certain way with these people. And you started learning that, you know, these people see you as the person at one point who they might be changing your diapers, or they might be taking you to school for the very first time. And now you might be someone who's like 40 or 50 years old with your own family and a crazy career, and they still might see you as that person that they took to first grade. And you might feel that they feel that about you. So you might find yourself really wanting them to understand you differently. And you might find yourself really easily triggered because I'm not that person anymore. Or maybe you're the parent. Maybe you created this amazing child and you were this space for this person and you taught them everything they know, and now they're not listening to you anymore, and maybe there's a loneliness in that. Maybe there's all kinds of different feelings. Who knows? But we can be triggered so easily by people, but no one nearly as much as our families. Our families have been there forever. And a lot of times when we get triggered, we think, I'm supposed to get mad at you. You just triggered me. But that's not what a trigger is for. A trigger is here to show you things in yourself that you have not accepted about you. It's a huge opportunity. And sometimes your parents might say something like, I really like this politician, and you might be like, ugh. And you could look at, why am I so mad? Why do I need this person to understand me? Why do I need this person to believe a certain different thing, right? Or they could say, well, let's see when you get a real job. And you're like, this is my job. You feel this thing, and you might feel unseen, and you might feel unheard. One of the biggest things I realize that we need, and I've learned through doing so much inner work, so much crazy, crazy work, the number one thing we all want to feel is understood. And one thing that really changed my life was learning how I can understand myself. I can skip the middleman and not need to make other people enslaved to understanding me. And I don't have to make myself understand them. I can go to a place deeper where I understand myself, feel a whole new level of compassion for myself, and feel that compassion as a whole and bring that to them as a whole. Where I can actually love someone even if we don't believe the exact same thing. I can love someone even if they're criticizing me. I can love someone even if they don't like the way that I'm doing something. I can love someone if they don't like my job. I can love someone, period, because a huge shift in my life was the revelation from the movie adaptation, you are what you love, not what loves you. When you really understand that, you get to realize that the holidays are this opportunity for you to do the deepest work that you've ever done. And most of the time, we don't ever go into the holidays with an intention. Why are we doing this? And I think that everything needs to have an intention. If you don't have an intention, you might just show up and aimlessly do something and not really realize what you're doing it for. If you go into something with an intention and you feel not understood, You, instead of needing to go, I'm going to get understood, can go, what am I here to learn? If your intention is, I'm going to go into this to learn. I'm going into this to release. I'm going into this to find compassion. I'm going into this to find a new level of love for myself and bring it to everybody. Life will totally be different. So this is just a fun, totally free video series for you and for me to like go into this with an intention, go into this with excitement, to go into this with compassion, and realize that these people that we seem to get so triggered and mad at are the people who've been there the longest in our lives, are people who are totally important people, even if they don't believe the same thing. They're people that are amazing people. They raised us, or we raised them, right? They're people that have always been there, and even in the chaos, even in the disagreements, even in the craziness, even in the judgment, even in all the differences, for some reason, you guys keep hanging out at least once every year. So maybe we should look at, why do we keep going back? There's something about these people that even though they drive us crazy, we want to see them. So let's take a look at what we are doing, what we want to get out of this, and what we can do to make this the most incredible holiday season ever. So welcome to this show series video set. I'll watch the game in a minute. So one of the first things I've learned through so much inner work in my life is that what people say has nothing to do with you. It really, even if they point blank say it to you, even if they say, you did this, they're actually angry about it because of things that they have inside of themselves. It's their own judgment for themselves lashing out. Now that doesn't mean there isn't something maybe you should look at that they're commenting on, but that's up to you. That's totally your decision what you want to do with it. And when people say something, you have to remember this thing, that this is your chance to really embody this line from the movie Adaptation, which is, you are what you love, not what loves you. And when people say something and they're mad at you and you want to fight back, you're not even fighting back at them. You're fighting back at your thoughts. They say something, you're thinking about what they said, and now you're walking around your house like, ugh, why doesn't my dad get me? You're by yourself sometimes and you're going, ugh, how does this, and you're fighting your own head. Your mind is going, this thing, and you're like, I'll show them. But what would happen if you had compassion for that thought? And you take a thing someone says about you, or a time you didn't feel seen, or something you don't forgive about someone, and just think of it. And notice where it's showing up. You can close your eyes and you can picture it. You can picture that person saying it. Now, most of us do this all the time unconsciously. We just picture it and fight it. But you can go out of your way now to sit for a second and think of something that someone might have said about you. A family member, someone that you're with, they said this thing, or they didn't understand you, and I want you to think about it. And you have this opportunity right now to think about it. Sit there and let it show up in your mind. Now notice how when it shows up, you feel triggered. You feel annoyed. You feel like fighting back. You feel like, no, that's wrong. I need you to understand this. Well, what would happen if you just allowed yourself to feel it and let it be there and love that it's there? Like, I've actually done this kind of exercise before where I'll be like, my dad said this about me and I love that. Really try and say that. This is something we do at my events. Whatever the thing is someone says, follow it with, and I love that. My mom doesn't get me, and I love that. My child is never going to listen to me, and I love that. My brother thinks that this person is the best politician in the world, which makes me crazy, and I love that. Notice how much just loving the thing that's triggering you makes it suddenly lose its grip on you. It's an opportunity for you to bring more self-love and compassion to yourself. Now, sometimes it takes time. Sometimes you can't just go, I love it. Is it working? Because that's you trying to love it so you can get rid of it. But if you just allow yourself to focus on the thing that's beating your heart, there's something beating your heart right now. And it's just always there. And believe it or not, no matter what any relative has ever said to you that triggered you, made you feel annoyed, whatever, it never got here. It got here. And your mind is like a bouncer, and it's stopping things from getting into the club of your heart. And when you take something that bothers you and you tell the thing beating your heart about it, oh, this person said this about me, just tell it about it. Take a couple minutes. If you need to, pause the video. Take a couple minutes and sit. Actually sit for a minute and say this thing and this thing, whatever's bothering you. Then tell your heart about it and then listen to it. And listen to that quiet voice that gently comes in and says, I see you. I love you no matter what. I totally understand. And keep listening. And it'll start saying stuff like, I understand you, and then it'll go, and I understand them. The longer you go, the more it's going to see the entire picture. It'll go, I get your point, and I get their point. And you're both seen. And all of a sudden you'll realize, I don't need my point to be seen. It's okay because it's now been seen by me. I can feel this compassion for myself. And then you can bring that compassion to them. And they say something that would have triggered you, but now you're in your heart, so it can't. It can't trigger you now because you've accessed a place of compassion in you that is bigger than any trigger. You are now the space of love. It's like your heart is like a fire and they're throwing all their crap into it and it's just burning it up. And you're just a place of love and you can just say, I see it. I totally understand what you're saying. It doesn't mean you have to agree. You don't have to go, you're right, that is the best politician. You can just go, I understand that you feel that way. I totally have love for you. Thank you for saying that. Or they criticize you. You don't know what you're doing with your job. Cool. Thank you for caring about me. Thank you for wanting to make sure that I have enough money. Thank you for wanting to make sure that I have security the way you understand it. Maybe their number one value is security and yours is adventure, right? So they're sitting here wanting you to be safe and you're wanting to be wild, or maybe vice versa. Maybe they're wanting you to live a little and you're sitting here like this because they're scaring your box up. And you can just go, thank you, because everything out of their mouth is them trying to tell themselves, I want to feel that. I want to feel freer, and I want you to experience that thing that I've never given myself. And you can understand that everything that any family member says to you about you is actually them talking to themselves. How trippy is that? And you don't have to do things their way. Their ego, their story is saying, this is the way life would be better. And I need you to do that because I want you to have a better life. They might not sound like that's what they're saying. It might sound like criticism. They might be like, all right, you don't know what you're doing. Whatever, and you might feel triggered. You only feel triggered because you have not connected to that unbelievable, infinite, compassionate place. And it's right here. You just have to be in the practice of connecting to it. You have to be in the practice of choosing to connect to that over your need for social media approval, or your need for external approval, or your life being good when finally that football team wins, or that politician wins, or when that parent gets you, or that kid gets you. You instead need to get you. And when you practice this a little bit every day, you will go in to the holidays with this unbelievable place of love. But you actually have to do the work and be there. You actually have to connect to it. It's always there, but our habit is to connect to our problems. So you have this opportunity now to connect to this. And you feel this love. And they go, you don't know what you're doing. Thank you. You're an idiot. This is the best president in the world. Awesome. You know, this politician got caught in this scandal. Cool. And you don't have to agree, and you don't have to be on the exact same page in the small story. You can be on the big page of heart connection. And even if they're not there, you aren't enslaved to needing them to be there because you have your connection. And I promise, the longer you practice being there, the more people will start to go there with you without even knowing it. they won't even know they're going into it. They'll just start to feel more and more seen, more and more loved, more and more relaxed. And you're doing the deepest work, because remember, these people have been around you for some of you your whole life, right? And here you are finding a place that's even deeper than these people that you've known since you were 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. That's when you transcend the whole thing. When you can go past those people who've known you the longest and find that love inside of you. But actually do the work. Actually get on the treadmill. Don't just hear this content and feel good. That's like me describing a treadmill and you not getting on it. Actually start practicing, listening to that heart an hour a day, 2 hours a day. Sit there and feel that love. And then bring it to them. I needed a cooler ending. But I feel good now just from saying that to you. I'll watch the game in a minute. Okay, for this next video, you get to practice being in your intention already. And I recommend having the intention of growing, because I'm going to say something that's going to totally piss your ego off. Are you ready? You're never right. Just take that in for a second. What if you're never right? Meaning, like, when we have an argument, that only comes from one belief. I'm right and you're wrong. And every time you insist on proving how right you are, you miss out on a lot. You miss out on growing, you miss out on learning, you miss out on so many other things. And people don't understand that the person that's arguing with you has a deep-rooted reason to believe that they're right and you're wrong. And all you are two complete people that are under the illusion that you're this set of beliefs, and that they're under the illusion that they're their set of beliefs. So there's two little stories going based on how each of you have seen life and what you each think the other one needs to hear and understand. And by insisting that you're right, you are cutting yourself off from growth. Now, does that mean keep your mouth shut? No. But if you undo this belief that you're right, you won't fight so militantly and need to be heard so violently. Because that thing that you believe might not necessarily be a universal truth. It just might be what you believe to be your truth. But how many things have you believed in the past that you knew were true, that you for sure knew were the way life works, and then that belief changed? If that's ever happened to you, ever, then that would have to imply that you're not your beliefs. You're the space that the beliefs changed in. So here you are, this space. And when you go into a discussion, especially with someone that you've known for a long time, you have this opportunity to not sit there and be right. And some people will not want to hear your perspective. And I've discovered for myself a lot of freedom in not sharing it with anyone who doesn't want to hear it. Some people are just going to tell you how it works because they don't know the stuff that you're learning right now. And they'll say, this is how it works, this is how it works, this is how it works. And you can sit there and go, cool. They just want to feel seen. They don't even care if you believe that they're right about that thing. They just want to feel seen, and they have wired themselves to believe that the only way I'll be happy is if I'm seen this way. So you can just go, awesome. So when they say something totally ridiculous to you, you can go, that's cool. That's cool. And you can then, if they ask for it, say what you see or you believe, and then you maybe have this opportunity to collaborate and both of you will grow. But I only do that with people who ask, because only my ego needs them to understand me, needs people to know what the hell I believe. And in doing that, I cut myself off from my heart, my soul, and I say, that relative's understanding is the source of my happiness versus I am the source of my happiness. And all of a sudden, the more I do that, the more interested a lot of people become in what I believe. They start to ask. And I only wait till they ask. And if they don't ask, then I don't tell. I don't need them to believe that, because if they don't ask, they're sure not going to be open. If they don't ask, they're never going to be open to what you have to say. So trying to be right to someone who's not asking is almost never going to work because they're not asking. They don't care. They are so in their belief system and they don't want to hear anything that will crack their belief system because they believe who they are as that belief. And if you're right, that means death to who they are or who they perceive that they are. So your opportunity here is to understand something. You're not right. You're actually not. It's actually very freeing to go into a world of I don't know, and I love that. That doesn't mean don't have things that feel good at one point. That doesn't mean have who you want to vote for, what you believe and stand for. That doesn't mean those things don't exist, but be open to, even though you believe those things, some of those things are going to change. And you can just sit in a place of, I don't know, and I love that. And all of a sudden you can expand. And if your intention is to grow or expand, then all of a sudden you're going to have an amazing time. But if your intention is to be right, you are going to get locked in a fight. Unless you have someone else here who's done that same inner work and can love you in your desire and need to be right. And you can feel seen by them. Most of the time that doesn't happen. For some reason, especially with family members, because we believe family members are connected to us so deeply that we all got to be on the same page. And that's the illusion we're under. And it's not true. You all grew up in different times. You all have a different belief system. And everyone's beliefs are very sincere from what each person's experienced. But if everyone grew up in different times, everyone sees life is a very different story. So undo this belief that you're right and just be compassionate and choose to have conversations about your beliefs with people who have that adjustability. And if there's no one there, just love yourself and love them. And you don't have to be right because you're never going to win against someone who's that stuck in their beliefs. It's just going to be a fight. So instead of needing to be right, switch your intention to grow. Switch your intention to play. Switch your intention to love so unconditionally that you can love them in their belief system that you might not agree with. What would happen if you went in there, I have this intention, and then they say something that's just crazy to you? I just love it. Cool. It's about your growth. It's not about winning. End this desire to win. The more you practice that with your family, the more it will go to everyone else, everywhere you go after the holidays. Okay, so this is something that I've had to learn myself for years too. And now it's something that I find that as we do the work, we do, and we have to learn to replace it with something better inside of ourselves. And that's this thing where when we're doing this work that we're doing, like you're watching this video series, you're learning how to connect to your heart, you're learning how to not be right, you're learning how to, do different exercises or have an intention. You are doing this work. And there's a reason you're doing this work. It might be that you hit a low. It might be that you want to bring this intention. It might be that you're in this amazing place of awareness and you're just about growth. That's awesome. One thing people do a lot on the way to their connection to themselves is they start to tell other people that they should do this work. In the middle of an argument, they might say, see, you're trying to be right, or you need to listen to your heart and connect with me. And I've discovered in doing that has worked literally 0 times. Nothing triggers other people more who aren't desiring to do the work than having someone come in and condescendingly tell them that they need to do the work. I remember going through different stages. My friend Carrie and teammate was saying she had this thing where she learned, okay, I'm gonna not judge. And then we went through, and I've gone through this so many times, this stage where you're judging people that are judging. Like, I can't believe that person's judging. And we just sit here and we expect everyone to have done the exact same work that we did, which is crazy. That's like going through high school and expecting a first grader to be a senior. And not everyone is in the same place. And I don't mean that in a better or less than sense, because I don't want you to bring that energy in too. But I just mean that we're all in different places. There's things that they're doing that you're also not doing. We're all just in different places. And it's huge when you take this work and you notice when you want to tell them that they should do the work, that's your opportunity right there to do it. I can't tell you how many times that I've thought to myself, if only this person, and I'd be like, that means I need to. And I'll catch myself right there. I'll be like, if only that person realized how right they're trying to be. Who's saying that? The guy who wants to be right. Because when they finally realize that they're just trying to be right, then I can be the right one. And all of a sudden, I'm actually trying to manipulate them into doing the work so that I can egoically make a shortcut and not quite meet my heart. So it is so important for you to notice all the moments when all the work that you've been doing in your spiritual journey or your, different seminars or your self-help books or your meditation, you will find moments where you want your family members to do something or know something. In that moment, catch it, because you want to do that yourself. It's a huge thing to really catch how much you want them to do something. That's because you want to do it. You're dying to do it, but your ego's horrified because it would be death of that part of you that's accusing them, or wants them to change, or wants them to learn how to connect to their heart, or wants them to forgive. You can't force anyone into their own surrender. But the second you feel that passion that they should do that, that's you talking to you. And in that moment, do it. Go, I wish this person would notice how much they're trying to, and if only they would, go do that. Go away for a minute if you need to. Go out in the woods. Go sit on the porch. Connect with yourself. Or sometimes you can just do it right there. You're trying to be right. Oh, I'm trying to be right. Never mind. I do that. I now, when I get into the arguments that I have with my fiance are so short now. Because each of us at the same time be like, I am, like it's so fast now. And if only you would, if only I would. And then all of a sudden you get this power because you get to take full responsibility for you. No one outside of you has any power over you. Could you imagine what life would be like if that was embodied? Nobody outside of you is responsible for your happiness. What if you were fully responsible for you? And then you don't have to go, we got to work through this. No, I do. I don't need this person to be anything so that I'm happy. I've been handing that out way too long. I got to work on this. I am this. You don't even have to work on this. You are this. Catch the part of you that says this needs to happen and do it yourself. In doing that, you might find some people will feel you as one of the safest, most incredible places. And maybe they'll say, what did you do? How are you so different? And they might start opening up to you because the more you connect to yourself, and make yourself a safe space to be seen by you, the more the world will mirror that to you. The more everyone outside of you will see you as much as you see yourself. So I had this thing for years that wanted my, whoever I was dating to understand these things about me. And lately I've noticed when that happened and pulled back, and I found that about me. And immediately, almost always, my fiance, after I did that, falls into me now. She just totally surrenders into me because I've embodied some new safe space because I hadn't needed her to do anything for me to get there. What a huge opportunity that I would have never have found without her. I found me through that. So it used to be in any argument, remember, every argument is based on one thing. You know about how you feel and how they act. You know about how you feel and how they act. You want that to shift? Start to think about how they feel and how you are acting. If you go, I'm acting like this because I'm unaware of how they feel, you will have a whole new compassion for them. But our fights usually come from you're mad about how they act, which is their response to how they feel, which usually you're not paying attention to, and you have no idea how you're acting because you're just responding to how you feel. So take in this idea that anytime you need them to do something, whether it's the inner work, whether it's to understand you, whatever, that's a reflection to you right there. You're not listening to me. No, you're not listening to them. It's always that. You're not listening to me. No, you're not listening to them. No, you're doing it. Every time. Every time. And when you catch yourself going, I need you to, you need you to. And your job is to do that. Actually do it. actually hear yourself for the first time and watch how people go, why are you so different? Why do I feel so safe around you? Why? Because I don't need you to do something different for my happiness. So you don't have to deal with that burden this year. So Merry Christmas. I don't need you to change for my happiness finally. Okay, this is kind of a crazy one. This is weird and you're probably like, why would you say this? But it's really important that you take in this idea. This is kind of trippy, but you don't have to go. You don't have to see your family. That sounds weird, and it's not giving up, but a lot of times people go, I have to go do this thing, and really, deep in their soul, they actually don't want to. They just feel that they have to. Now, sometimes people don't want to egoically, but something in their heart can feel, I'd grow if I went, I'd get a lot out of it. And in that case, go. But we gotta realize that we're responsible for ourselves and we don't owe anyone anything. And if you go into something completely not wanting to be there, it's going to make everyone miserable. You're gonna be in total fight or flight the whole time, you're gonna be regretting it, and people are just gonna all feel like crap. Now, I tell people at my audiences this. With every situation, you have 3 choices. 1, you can figure out how to love that circumstance. So let's say you're in a job that you hate. You have 1 choice, you can learn how to love it. Come up with what you love about that job. Well, I get to work with this person, I get a check, I get to do this, cool. The second option is, if you don't like that circumstance, you can leave it, right? You have the opportunity to leave, right? This relationship isn't fulfilling me, I'm out of here. So there's 2 really exciting choices always available in every circumstance ever. So the third option, and for some reason this is the option that we as a society constantly choose, is I'm going to hate this thing and I'm going to stay in it. I hate this job that I'm in, but I'm going to stay in it, and I'm going to tell all my friends about how much I hate it and totally stay there. And I'm going to spend 8 hours a day in an argument with myself all day, come home, hate myself, hate the situation, completely do things that I don't want to do. I'm going to stay in this relationship, I'm going to hate it. I'm going to be single and complain about it, but I'm not going to find the love of my life. I'm going to talk about how crappy my life is, and I'm not going to meditate, I'm not going to change it. That's where we've chosen to live. And that's where most people live as a society. And that's why there's a lot of people that are miserable right now. And you don't have to do that. You have 1 of 3 options. You can love it, you can grow, you can get something out of it, you can be really appreciative and excited to go. You can totally not go, you can totally not be in a situation that you don't want to be in. Or you can go and totally hate being there. And I recommend cutting off the third option. Just allow yourself to decide to be in integrity with what you choose. I'm going to choose to go and make it amazing. I'm going to choose to go and bring love in a way that I've never brought to the family before. I'm going to choose to go and have a blast. Or I'm going to honor that it doesn't serve me or them for me to be there. And I'm going to just choose to not go. And it's really easy. Here's how you do that. When you're opening up your computer to buy the tickets, close it again. Don't buy them. Don't buy the plane tickets. Just close it. When you're halfway through opening your credit card and going, I have to go, just close it. You don't want to go. When you get the last 4 digits of your credit card, just close your computer. Don't go. You are allowed to honor what you want to do in your heart. Because sometimes there's just some things that don't feel like it serves us. And that's okay too. But honor for yourself what you want in your heart, not in your ego. Sometimes your heart wants to go, but your ego doesn't. You're like, but I know it'd be good for me. That's different. Listen to what your body says. And if you're not quite sure, take some time. Sit with yourself for a half an hour and listen to your heart and ask it for a while. And it'll say something like, it's okay, or it's okay to not. But whatever you choose will be from a place of, it's okay that I'm choosing that. And if you hear yourself say, I don't want to go, and you honor that, you've just grown. Because you've listened to yourself say no, and then embodied it. And that's huge practice in itself. So even if you don't go see your family on the holidays, you're still growing thanks to them. And when you learn how to say no to something that you don't want, and say yes to the things that you do want, your life is going to skyrocket for the rest of the year, because you're going to honor your yeses, and just as importantly, you're going to honor your nos. And then you're going to connect to you more, because even in saying no, you've just been in the practice of connecting to your body on a whole new level and getting more and more connected to that guidance system that wants to tell you the truth of what you're supposed to do with everything in your life. For me, it seems like it's never been wrong. It says, let go of this. And if I don't, it starts to kick my butt. So I go, okay, I gotta let go of this. And then it goes, jump, do this thing, make a leap, do this thing. I do, and it becomes awesome. And I feel more and more connected to myself. I feel more and more confident. I feel more amazing. So this whole process is about you practicing how to meet you, how to connect to you. And that's really the point of this video series, for you to understand how to connect to you. And hopefully, as a maybe byproduct ripple effect, your family will get to do it too. Even if you don't show up, they'll hear a no, and maybe that'll give them permission to bring no's to their lives too, to things that don't serve them. Everything you do has a ripple effect that goes so far that you have no idea. You have no idea all the changes people make from you listening to the integrity of your heart. You have no idea of how many people in the future will say thank you because you listen to your heart. You can't see it sometimes the minute you're doing it, but as time goes on, you start to learn how much people are inspired by your heart and how much you're permission for them to access their heart. So that's why this is huge. And it's huge for you to honor what you in your soul want to do. And whatever you choose, realize this. And a lot of people won't tell you this, but it's totally okay. Everything will be fine. It's not that big of a deal. And in some ways, it's the most incredible, amazing, huge deal at the same time. So that's just something that I wanted to make for you and connect with you, because in making this, I feel so connected to you and me, and I'm so excited to see my family. I'm actually weirdly excited about Thanksgiving coming up in a few weeks for me, and I'm so excited to tell my fiance that I can't wait to go spend time with her family, because how weird is this? On the way here to shooting this, she was like, do you want to go see my family? And I was like, and I'm going to call her right when we're done making this and tell her, I can't wait to go see your family. And I can't wait to grow with you and connect with you and meet your granddaughter, because Christy just had a grandchild and our child this year. So there's all these amazing new people I get to meet, and I get to meet myself in that process. So thanks for letting me make this video for myself and hopefully for you too. And it's been an honor to be with you, and I hope you have an incredible holiday. And I hope you have fun with your family, because I'll tell you, after losing my mom this year, it's all temporary. And it's such an honor to get to spend time with these people that we won't get to one day. And this will be my first holiday without my mom, and I'm gonna miss her so much, but she'll be right here, and I'm gonna bring her spirit into my Thanksgiving and my holidays. So thank you so much for watching, and I love you guys. Talk to you soon.